Hi everyone, Heather here with Astrology with Heather.com, and I am back with another weekly forecast. And this one is for Monday, April 27th, all the way through to Sunday, May 3rd of 2020. And this week, things are starting to ease up a little bit. There's still a bit of tension in the astrology, but it's nothing near what we've been experiencing over the last few weeks. Last week we had kind of a crazy energy going on. We had not only this energy of the sun in square with Saturn, but that was being highlighted with the new moon, which is also in a conjunction with Uranus. And so this was highlighting the Saturn-Uranus conjunction, which is starting to take hold a little bit this year, but it's really going to be prevalent next year. And so we got a little bit of a taste or a preview of what's to come in the next year or two, really. So the issues, the tensions, the frustrations, the changes that you needed to make that maybe came up last week are things that are going to be like long withstanding. Like you're going to have to be working on these issues for quite some time, but definitely changes can be made. They're just not going to happen all at once. And so that was sort of the energy last week. And then we had Pluto stationing to go retrograde in the sign of Capricorn, still in a really close conjunction with Jupiter, which isn't moving very quickly either because it'll be moving retrograde soon. And so that was another really strong energy. And while this was happening, Mercury came into a square with both Pluto and Jupiter. So Saturday was a really intense day as well. We're still kind of in that energy at the start of this week with, Pluto not really moving, Mercury still squaring in a wide square with Pluto and Jupiter, especially on Monday morning. But later on in the day on Monday, Mercury moves on. It's no longer going to be in the sign of Aries. All of this Aries energy is finally lifting. And so all of these squares we've been having in the cardinal signs that have been activating the intensity with that stellium in Capricorn, they're starting to kind of wane, and we're not going to be experiencing that quite so intensely moving forward, which is good news. At least we won't be experiencing it that intensely anytime soon. And so Mercury's moving into Taurus, and it'll be making one last activation, which is going to be that conjunction to Uranus and that square to Saturn this week. And so we'll have that Saturn-Uranus square activated one more time. We can get some sort of intellectual understanding of what the Saturn-Uranus square in 2021 and even into 2022 will be bringing up for us, right? So what do we need to restructure? What do we need to look at in new and innovative ways? What do we need to very slowly and in a very disciplined way start to make changes on in our lives in order to create new structures that allow us for greater freedom moving forward? So it's not necessarily an energy where we break free and rebel from everything in our lives all at once. If we try to do that, Saturn's actually kind of the stronger energy in this square because it's in its home sign traditionally in the sign of Aquarius. And some people don't really realize that Saturn used to be the ruler of Aquarius. It's the traditional ruler. And so when Saturn's in the sign of Aquarius, it's stronger. And so when we're looking at something like a square aspect where we have Saturn coming into this square with Uranus, Saturn is stronger. Saturn is in the superior position. Saturn is kind of the stronger energy here. And so we have this Uranian need to break free from old, stagnant, stale energy, things that have been very stable in our lives for quite some time that are now requiring some sort of change, right? And then Saturn's coming in and saying, no, that's against the rules, or no, you have these responsibilities that you have to take care of. You can't just neglect this. You can't just move into something else. You can't just, break free from everything all at once. And it can be quite frustrating. This is like a very frustrating energy. It's not the easiest energy. These are kind of contradictory in terms of the planetary associations. We have Saturn, which is limitations, restrictions, oppressive energy, burdens, delays, hardships, challenges, and Uranus, which is wanting to break free and rebel and do things in new and exciting and innovative ways. And, Uranus doesn't want to follow the rules. And so this is a frustration that we're going to be experiencing globally. I'm sure you can infer sort of how that's playing out already. And this is something we're going to be experiencing on a personal level in a very specific way. And we'll get into that when we get into the forecast for all 12 signs. In addition to this, we're going to be having a square between Venus and Neptune this week. And so Venus is actually going to be coming into 3 squares with Neptune because Venus is about to be going retrograde in just about a week or so here. I think about 2 weeks, right? And so we're going to have Venus moving retrograde in the sign of Gemini, which is going to be a big energy this summer. This is going to be a great time for sort of re-establishing our connections with our community, our neighbors, things of that nature, looking at reinforcing the local economy, local supply chains. It's really about, forming community and reevaluating our community. And, that's something that I discussed in my webinar with Robert Phoenix last weekend. And so, that's going to be a big energy. And one of the things that is going to be coming up that I didn't mention in that webinar and that I haven't really talked about yet is the fact that, this is happening in a mutable sign. This is happening in the sign of Gemini. And Venus is going to be going in and out of that square to Neptune. So Venus is in the sign of Gemini, which is already a trickster sign. It's known for duality, for kind of being able to be whoever you want to be in any given situation in order to appeal on a social level to the people that are surrounding you, right? Gemini is a very social sign. It's very good at picking up on social cues and acting accordingly. With Venus is about interpersonal connections with people. And so there can be maybe a little bit of a manipulative or shifty energy that's associated with that, only if there are other indicators, right? And so Neptune is one of those indicators. Neptune rules lies, deception, delusion, disillusionment. This is an energy where you might be seeing what you want to see in relationships, and this is an energy where you might end up being intentionally manipulative if it's hitting you in a certain way and if you have those tendencies already. And this is especially an energy where people are going to be more susceptible to lies and deception, and they're more likely to be lied to in a specific way in specific areas of their lives that are being impacted. And this lie, this deception, this even if it's a self-deception, even if it's something where you're lying to yourself about something, it's likely to come back around 2 more times. And so we have this happening on Sunday. This will be an energy that will be prevalent all of this weekend and into the start of next week. So just be careful of things that seem too good to be true, right? Because they might be. And it'll be coming back around on May 20th in retrograde, and you'll have this energy sort of come to its resolution point where you'll kind of start to see things clearly, and you'll start to move past whatever it is that came up for you at the end of July. On July 27th, that's when that comes exact for the 3rd time. And so we have these 3 passes here, and this first one is going to show us what we're going to be dealing with more intensely during that retrograde period. So pay close attention to what comes up for you interpersonally. This could also just be you kind of floating off in la la land, wanting to indulge and, sort of just do things that feel pleasurable in order to break away from the normal day-to-day reality of our experience right now. And, that can be good and bad. There can be an overindulgence and overdoing it when it comes to disengaging or when it comes to indulging in things that are pleasurable. That could be things like food, especially with that Venus energy, but that could be indulging in gossip, right? That's Venus and Gemini, indulging in spreading of lies without even maybe realizing it because it feels exciting or good, or it's like something that gets you away from thinking about what's going on globally. It's like, oh, did you hear what happened to our friend over here? Did you hear what happened over there? That type of thing. And so, rumors might be flying. You could be involved in that too. And so, this could show up in a lot of different ways for a lot of different people. And of course, we'll get into more specifics in just a second. But I just wanted to kind of point that out, that this is a shifty, kind of shady energy. At its best expression, it can really enhance creativity, especially creativity when it comes to communication and connections with other people. It could be like a creative sort of podcast idea or something like that, or an idea for a creative story that you want to tell if you're a writer or a storyteller of some kind, right? These things can come up as well. This can be a very creative energy, but it can also be indulgent. It can also be deceptive. And so you just want to kind of keep your wits about you, in a specific area of your life, and just kind of in general when you're like taking in things that are being portrayed in the media right now. We know that the media, especially the mainstream media, but really all media right now in general, can be intentionally very, very deceptive. And so we want to be aware of that and, take things that we're being told in the news and from the media with a grain of salt, more so than we normally would, because I know you guys are all very awake, very aware, very, current on this type of information. You're I'm sure you understand already that these things are to be taken with a grain of salt, but especially this weekend, I feel like there's going to be something that's going to come up that's going to be a flat out lie, and people are going to really latch onto it. So just kind of be aware of that. All right. And so before we get into the forecast for all 12 signs, I just wanted to make a quick announcement. So my summer electional astrology guide is still available to pre-order for 20% off. And it'll be available on May 9th. This is going to be a really detailed guide to help you to choose the best days to launch important events, to do things that are, important to you personally, that you want to be successful with throughout the summer months, because this summer is a time where we're going to have a little bit of an opening. Things will start to open up and lighten up. And this is kind of our one chance before the fall, before things kind of retreat again, to set things in motion, to make the changes that we want to make in our lives. So that way we're in a really good position moving forward. And, I can't stress that enough, that this summer is an important time for this. It's an important time to make changes. And it's almost like we have like one, short window of time here. And then in the fall, I'll do an electional guide, but those dates are going to be harder, fewer and far between in terms of the ones that we can really access and use. So I want you guys to use the best potential energy, and most of that's going to happen this summer. So my summer electional guide, the link is down in the description below. It's a very detailed guide. There's a calendar, there's a written guide, there are videos explaining and elaborating and giving more detail on how to use the energy in the best possible way so you can be successful in whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. Whether that's, something involving real estate, finances, a job, a business launch, buying a vehicle, travel plans, even things like maybe like a beauty treatment or something like that. Like I have a lot of different things in there. So again, link is down in the description below, and I hope that some of you guys will take advantage of that. And let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs, beginning with, of course, Aries. Okay, there we go. So for Aries and for Aries rising, let me just get myself set up. I'm doing a different setup now where it's just easier for me, but everything is in a different location than where it normally is for me. Okay, so for Aries and for Aries rising, hopefully the mic is still okay right here. So for this week for you guys, the main energy is the highlight of that Saturn square to Uranus. And this is something that's been highlighted a couple of times already. So we kind of are starting to get familiar with the energy. But with Saturn squaring Uranus, Saturn is in your house of friendship. It's in your house of group associations. It's in your house of connections with people that you surround yourself with by choice. And so there's some sort of difficulty or strain maybe on your friendships or on your social networks right now. It could simply be that you're feeling the burden and limitation of the restrictions imposed on you when it comes to socializing because of social distancing. And, Uranus is causing you to really want to rebel from that. And it could also be hitting you financially as well. And Uranus is causing you to want to change something, to break free, or to create a better situation for yourself where you have better networks, or where maybe you're utilizing the internet or technology in order to create resources for yourself moving forward so you can work more independently from the system. If that's the case, that's a great idea. But it's not going to happen all at once, right? So you're going to need to there's a need right now, a really intense need to rebel against your current circumstances, to start thinking about making changes financially, and also when it comes to your group associations, social networks, and the way that you use your social networks on the internet. But it's, again, not going to happen all at once. It's kind of like you want to jump all in. You're feeling super frustrated, and you're kind of pushing up against a wall, or there are some sort of barriers or blockages due to rules, regulations, and restrictions in your life. Or maybe you don't have a network. You feel like you thought you had all these really great friends, but now that sort of things got crazy, you realize who your true connections are and who are your friends that really have your back and that you want to take with you moving forward, and who you maybe need to start working on getting rid of. And that could be part of this too. And so just kind of pay attention to those things. And then The energy with that Venus square to Neptune is happening very literally in your house of communication. And so there could be a lie that's told to you by somebody close to you. There could be a miscommunication or a mishap where maybe you thought that you said something in one way and they took it in another way. And so you're maybe accused of being deceptive, or you're unintentionally deceptive and you mislead someone. And so you want to just be very careful this weekend when it comes to your communication, your language, and what you say to people. Definitely not a good time to spread rumors, especially if you're talking about someone behind their back in secret. That'll come back around and bite you, especially during that Venus retrograde time. So on May 20th, that energy will come back around that time. And so you just want to be careful, and it won't be fully resolved until the end of July. So don't get yourself in that situation. If you're the person who's hearing rumors about yourself, or you're kind of hearing lies or something like that, like somebody's coming to you and telling you some information that's incorrect and you're kind of latching on to it, that's something that you won't really figure out, or it's something that might come back around and kind of bite you again in May, and you won't fully figure out how to resolve this energy until June. This could also, though, be a really great time on the flip side in a positive way, because Venus is the lesser benefic, it's a beneficial energy even in square. This is a great time to indulge in mental creativity and fantasy and imagination. This is a time where you're probably going to be floating out in the ethers when it comes to where your mind is anyway. So it's kind of like you're a space cadet this weekend. Indulge in that. Do some meditation, fantasize about what you want to create for your reality. Paint, draw, write a short story, whatever it is that you want to do to use that creative potential. That's a better way to use this energy than lying or being susceptible to lies. So the thought behind things like astrological remedies are that you want to use the energy in a good way, so it's all used up, so it can't be used in the negative way, right? And so the best way to use this is creatively. So do that, right? Make up a story and in a positive way that has some sort of positive creative potential that you're using it as an outlet for, as opposed to making up a story about one of your friends or something like that, right? And so that's going to be the energy for Aries. For Taurus and for Taurus rising. So for you guys, you have Mercury coming into your sign, hitting Uranus and squaring Saturn this week. And so this is going to be a time where, first off, you're going to feel very, very busy. You're going to be frazzled mentally. There's going to be a lot of information, a lot of communication coming your way. You're going to feel like you have a lot to do and you just can't wrap your mind around it because there's just so much happening all at once. And it's kind of like you feel like you need to rush and to start making these changes right away and just get back into it. But Saturn's going to prevent you from moving as quickly as you want to, and it's going to place barriers to you expressing all of these new and exciting ideas. And those barriers can come through your work. It could even be that you want to share something that you just realized, like you had some sort of mental breakthrough and you're afraid to do it because of people in positions of power and authority. Maybe they'll censor you, right? Or maybe people at work or your bosses might get angry because you're challenging the status quo. And so you feel like you have to let it out in small bursts. If you don't let it out in small bursts and you just, blab it all at once, there actually could be repercussions. Like the law could bear down on you, rules, regulations, restrictions from people in authority. It could cause issues in your workplace, or in your career in general that could inhibit your ability to be as successful as you want to be. So you just kind of want to be cautious about that. And so, just things to think about this week. But there are changes you need to make. You need more personal freedom. You need to be able to break free from the limitations, restrictions of your old conditioning, of this old persona that you've taken on. You've built a life for yourself, and now you're realizing where parts of that are not in alignment with who you truly are and what you truly value and what your direction should be in life. And you're starting to work on, thinking about ways that you can change that. But you're going to have to make small, steady efforts every single day to get to that goal. It's not going to happen all at once. This is also a time where your work is going to feel heavier. It's going to feel harder. There could be restrictions to your career or to your job in general. And, there's a need to restructure something and change something. But again, it's not going to happen all at once. You're going to have to, slow and steady wins the race. This isn't a time to make a big, crazy change. And even next year, you're going to be doing it in bits and pieces. So just know that this is going to be a prolonged energy. Don't expect instantaneous results, but expect results and think about what you want. The other thing that's going on is this energy of Venus in the sign of Gemini and square with Neptune. This is an energy I would especially caution Taurus people not to be cautious of offers when it comes to finance or things that you might want to purchase that might seem too good to be true, because you could end up in a bind, or you could end up overspending, or you could end up very literally like swindled by somebody financially. And so this is not a great time for making financial decisions. This is a great time for envisioning what you want, like visualizing and fantasizing about what you want your material life to look like, what you want in terms of your possessions and your financial status moving forward. But this isn't a time to take action. You can envision a big purchase, like a home that you want to buy, even, journal about it, write what you want, set those intentions, because you'll be able to see it so clearly. But again, when it comes to what's going on in reality, you could easily be deceived. This could also be you, being deceived by a friend, or by a group of people, or by, something going on in social media that could cost you some money, or that could cause you to kind of be led astray when it comes to finances or investments of some kind. So just, don't believe rumors, and stick to your guns and kind of wait it out, because if you make a bad decision this weekend, it'll come back around. It might not hit you right away, but come May 20th, around that time, you'll experience that again. You'll experience the repercussions, and then at the end of July, that's when you'll kind of resolve it, but it's going to take time, and so you don't want to put yourself in that situation. This again is a really great time to visualize, though. Fantasize about what you want. Think about it. You could even attend some sort of like meditation group online or something like that, where you're setting intentions for like finances or money manifestation, or, if that's something that you're into, definitely this would be a great time for that. But again, taking action might be a little tricky here. All right, for Gemini and for Gemini rising, this energy with Saturn and square with Uranus is happening in your 9th and in your 12th house. And so you're probably feeling super restless, especially being a Gemini, when it comes to this whole social distancing thing, this inability to move about the world as you please. You're probably feeling like you want to travel, or you want to break free, you want to connect with people, but those rules, limitations, and restrictions are impeding your ability to do so, and that can feel super, super frustrating. You might want to express that to somebody. You might want to talk about it. You might want to connect with people and sort of air your grievances. And that can be okay, so long as you're doing it in small doses. You don't want to overwhelm people with that. But there's like an internal sense of frustration going on here. And there could also be messages coming from some sort of internal source. So you could have, dreams or visions, or these just impressions that come to you on a subconscious level that show you that something's amiss and that you need to change something. There's something that's going on that's related to your past, and that might even be related to a past life, that's kind of this unsettled energy that you need to work through in order to move forward, in order to have more freedom. This could also be you wanting to study or wanting to explore different belief systems, especially like spiritual practices and things like that you've never explored before, but your old beliefs are rigid, dogmatic. They are preventing you from fully embracing this new system that you want to kind of look into, or at least dabble in. So just kind of, move into it in small doses if that's the case for you. Looking at alternative forms of spirituality and religious practices and philosophy, that's a great thing to do right now. Even if that's something you already do, which it probably is if you're watching this channel, something that's even like crazier to you than that. And you'll probably be doing it in secret. So that can be part of this energy too. With this Venus energy, this is impacting you personally. And so there's something here, like you have a lot of potential for positive energy, recognition, people being more drawn to you, a lot of like social opportunities that can open up to you, especially this summer, when everything starts to open up a little bit more, and that's more of a potential. But even now you could have that. It's just probably going to be more at a distance or digitally. But there is this energy where, deception can come to you through your relationships very directly. And so, with Neptune and square with Venus, there could also be something that you're really confused about when it comes to your work or your relationship with people in positions of authority at your workplace. There could be like lies or rumors being spread, or you could be, the one spreading lies or rumors at work. So you just want to be careful about what you say and who you connect with, and the way that you engage with your work, especially into this weekend. And there could be something that you're confused about. Like maybe you were offered a promotion, or, you know, you are going to be getting a raise or something like that, and it doesn't come through, and it's like, what the heck is going on here? If that is the case, it'll come back around, it'll be resolved. You know, you'll kind of have a chance to deal with it again in May, around May 20th, and then at the end of the month on at the end of July on July 27th, that's when things kind of reach the resolution point. This could also be a really great time to engage in creative activities involving your work, or to fantasize or envision what you want for yourself when it comes to your career moving forward, because you're much more easily able to access that and connect with it, you know, especially over this weekend. All right, and then for Cancer and for Cancer rising. So this energy with Saturn in square with Uranus is happening in your 8th and in your 11th house, which is the house of friendship, social networks, people you surround yourself with by choice. You might feel really frustrated with the limitations and restrictions right now on your social connections. It could be that you really are just feeling frustrated with your friends in general, and you want to make new connections. You want to connect with new groups of people. And if that is the case, then, you know, now's a time where you can start thinking about ways to do that, even if they are, you know, online and things like that. But especially when things start opening up, thinking about ways that you can connect with new groups of people, communicate with people who have different ideas that are alternative to your own. You could be afraid to branch out when it comes to your social circle. You can be, you know, kind of afraid to explore new ideas, or you could be afraid to engage with people who have opinions that are different from your own. Now is the time where you can start to sort of break free from those fears, start to connect with people. If you're somebody who has a very extreme political viewpoint, even if you don't believe it's extreme, maybe connect with somebody who has an alternative viewpoint and just listen to them, right? It might be hard to do, it might be frustrating, but you can have a lot of really incredible developments by connecting with people that are completely outside of your normal social circle. But again, doing it in small bursts and not all at once. This energy here with the Venus square to Neptune is happening in your 12th and in your 9th house. This could be you wanting to get away and go on some sort of spiritual retreat, or you kind of diving in, or maybe getting sucked into some sort of new belief system or some new spiritual practice where maybe you take things too far, or you don't understand it properly and it could get you in a bind. Or, you know, maybe it's based on a lie. Maybe it's not even true to begin with, and you kind of get sucked in, and, you know, it could be like a cult or something even, where you're sort of worshiping somebody, or you're looking to somebody as a guru, and maybe they don't have all the answers. And, you know, you'll find that out soon enough when Venus goes retrograde. So there could be like a weird connection there. But this would be a really great time to engage, even in your home or in your immediate environment, on some sort of spiritual retreat where you're kind of diving inward and taking time away from the world to explore creatively or spiritually in some way. All right, for Leo and for Leo rising. This energy here with Saturn in square to Uranus is happening in your 7th house of relationships, and also in your 10th house of career and public reputation. This is kind of a harder energy for all of the fixed signs, but especially for Leos because of where it's manifesting. You could have a lot of frustration in your current relationship where you feel burdened or limited or restricted in some way in partnership, or you could feel that lack of partnership as some sort of burden or hardship that you're experiencing right now. This could also indicate that you want to break free from something when it comes to your old paradigm with your work. It's like you're sick of what you're doing, you're frustrated with your current job or your career situation, and you want to change something, but there's something limiting you from doing that. It's like an old agreement, an old contract, an old business partnership. It could even be like your romantic partnership is preventing you from really diving in because you have a responsibility to this person. And so, you know, communicating that to them in small doses and bits and pieces, making small changes to your work and figuring out what changes you want to make and what you want it to look like are going to be very positive for you to do this week, and to think about it and make a plan. But it's not going to happen all at once. And even if you, especially if you just go in and change your job or like do something all willy-nilly, that's probably going to provide some hardship, especially next year. So you want to just make sure you're very clear on what you're doing first. And so taking it in small, measured doses is going to be the best way to navigate this. With the Venus square to Neptune, this is actually happening in your 11th house of friendship and in your 8th house, which is power and control issues. It's deep psychological issues. It's also money issues. And so there could be something where there's an issue where there's some sort of deception tied to joint finances or investments or money that's related to some sort of group activity. Or it could even be that you donate to some sort of altruistic sort of humanitarian type of pursuit and then realize that you were swindled or you didn't understand what you were donating to. That could be part of this energy. This could also just be you, connecting with your friends and maybe engaging in gossip or being gossiped about or, falling prey to some sort of lie or deception where you're going to have this moment of disillusionment, most likely when Venus goes retrograde and it hits that square again on May 20th. So just kind of be careful. Don't gossip. Take everything that you're told by your friends or that you see on social media this week with a huge grain of salt. Like it's not necessarily true. And so don't just jump to conclusions and don't spread things that you hear unless you've really vetted that information. This is a really great time, though, to kind of disengage from the world through your social connections. And so call up your friends, fantasize about what you want to do when you're able to get together again, that type of thing. Like envision a future reality, envision the connections that you want to have with your friends, these really supportive sort of healing connections that you want to have with your friends, and start to manifest that, right? That could be a good way to use this energy, or engage in some sort of creative project with a group. That would be a great way to use this energy too. New friendships can definitely come in, and old friendships can come back around during the Venus retrograde. So who do you want to connect with? What do you want your relationships and social networks to look like moving forward? All right, so for Virgo and for Virgo rising, this Saturn square to Uranus is happening in your 6th and in your 9th house. And so first off, you're probably feeling the burden and of limitation and restriction when it comes to your work right now. Like your work might be really slow. You might feel kind of heavy about that. Or maybe you have a lot of work to do and that feels really heavy, and your day-to-day reality feels like you're just slothing through mud, and it's like, when is this going to end type of thing. There could be this need to really break free and to explore something new. Maybe you want to go and get additional education so you can change your work situation, so you don't have that limitation, that restrictive energy. Maybe you just want to go take a vacation and travel, but you can't right now. There's that burden, right? That's going to be a part of this energy. This is a really great week for you, though, especially for mental exploration. So exploring new concepts, new ideas, new educational pursuits that are completely foreign, completely outside of the box for you. That's going to feel really exciting. But again, doing it in small doses. Don't just dive all into some sort of new course. Don't just go and sign up for a master's degree or something like that without thinking it through, because that's going to prove to be extra burdensome. If it's something you've thought through, and it's going to take time and a lot of hard work, then this might be the time where you get that push. But, just know that these things are not going to happen overnight. These changes aren't going to happen overnight, but you do have the potential to restructure your day-to-day routines, your day-to-day life in order to have the excitement, the freedom, the situation that you want to have there. This Neptune square to Venus is happening in your 10th house of career. So again, work-related stuff, and in your 7th house of relationships. And there could be maybe some sort of recognition that you feel like you should have gotten, or maybe you do get recognized for something. Maybe you're promised a promotion or a job or a raise, but you're not very clear on the contract, the agreement that you're subject to. And so this is a time to not sign on the dotted line, to not agree to anything until you have full clarity on every aspect of this agreement that you're entering into with your work or with your career, because it could come back around and you could realize that you've been swindled or deceived, or that you just didn't understand. Especially around May 20th, it can come back around, and it won't be resolved till the end of July. So you want to make sure that you're very clear. This could also be a really great time, though, for you to engage in creative collaboration with coworkers, with employers, employees. This could be a really great time to connect one-on-one with people, to brainstorm and come up with really creative ideas for your business or for your work. And that could be part of this energy too. There could also be some confusion around your partner's work, if you're romantically involved, if you're married or in a long-term committed partnership. And so, just know that these things will clear up and that you'll get that understanding, but you might not have the full understanding or the full picture just yet. All right, and for Libra rising. So this energy with the Saturn square to Uranus and that Mercury activation is happening in your 5th and in your 8th house. So right now, romance and partnership can feel like way more of a burden and way more work. It's like more trouble than it's worth to just date someone or something along those lines. And you're not looking necessarily as much for a fling. You're looking for a good solid commitment when Saturn is in your 5th house, and that might be a little more strenuous or harder to come by. But this week there could be a lot of frustration or a need to change something when it comes to joint finances in partnership in particular. And there could be some shocking communication that comes in around an investment or around your partner's resources that kind of changes things for you and provides an extra strain or, some sort of worry. But if that is the case, you'll be able to work through it. You'll be able to get through it. It's just that you're not going to be able to make the changes in order to create what you want to create on that financial level all at once. It could even be that you get some sort of message or information about a debt or taxes or money coming in from an outside source, and there's a delay or something like that, and you thought you were going to have all this financial freedom, and it's going to take a little bit more time, but it'll still come, or maybe it'll come more in small doses, like you'll get payouts instead of getting it all at once. This could also be you having to look at power and control issues, especially in romantic partnership, or power and control issues involving children. Like maybe you have joint custody of your children and you're feeling more restricted in your ability to connect with them, or you have to renegotiate the terms when it comes to the joint custody. That's something that often comes up with aspects like this. And so it could be a lot of different things. It could just be that you feel like your joy is being suppressed. And there's financial reasons for that. Like you don't feel like you have what you need in order to just do the things that you love to do. And so that can feel burdensome. And so you might want to break free from some sort of financial restrictions or make financial changes or make new investments to create a better future for yourself. So that way you can have more fun. And you can feel like you can do that without, putting yourself in a bad situation financially. The other thing that's going on is that Venus square to Neptune is happening in your 6th house, which is the house of your day-to-day work routines and activities. It's the house of health. Venus is in your 9th house of travel, especially foreign travel or connections to people in foreign countries. There could be some sort of deception coming in or some sort of confusion around your work this week. Or there could be deception or confusion around a specific educational pursuit, or maybe if you teach other people, you might sort of misinterpret some information or give some misinformation, or you might not be clear in the way that you're delivering things to your students. So that's something that you kind of want to be aware of. So just make sure that you're very clear in what you're talking about when you sort of speak publicly about something, or when you share information, when you teach others. And if you are in school and you're taking a test or something like that, just make sure that you're very, very clear and you study like extra hard, because you might know the material, but you might be confused about something. And so this is also a really great time to fantasize about what you want for yourself when it comes to your health, when it comes to your daily habits and routines, and especially when it comes to your day-to-day work life. What do you want? And, how can you make that dream a reality? It's not necessarily that you're going to do it right now, but this is a really great time for visualization in that area of life. All right, so for Scorpio and for Scorpio rising, this square between Uranus and Saturn is happening in your 4th house, which is the house of home, family, and property, and in the 7th house of relationships. This could be where a really odd or sort of shocking communication comes through your partnership or comes to your partner, or some new information comes in your partnership that disrupts the status quo, and it could feel kind of burdensome, or it could prevent you from moving forward with something that you wanted to do in terms of a home renovation project, a move. It could delay things in some way. There could be a need to change something in your relationship. And, it's just taking some time, and it's not going to happen all at once. You need to make small changes to the dynamic in your relationship every single day to reach that goal, to have what you want in your partnership, to have that freedom and excitement together as partners. This could also be you having some sort of burden or restriction or hardship when it comes to your actual home or property and the agreements or contracts that you have associated with your home and property. And so it's kind of like you're wanting to move forward with something, you're wanting to change something really quickly, and it's taking much longer, and it's kind of dragging on, and you want to renegotiate maybe your mortgage agreement, or you want to renegotiate your lease, and there's something preventing you from moving forward with that, where it's going to take a little bit more time. There's also this, and you could definitely make those changes, by the way. It's just not going to happen all at once. But there's also this energy here of Venus in the sign of Gemini in your 8th house. So there could be some sort of confusing news that comes in about debt, taxes, inheritance, joint finances through partnership and marriage, those types of things that sort of throws you for a loop, or you're maybe misunderstanding something and you make a financial decision based on this energy or this information or this connection that comes in or this money that comes in. Maybe money comes in and you think it's going to keep flowing, right? And you make financial decisions based on that, but you're not quite clear on the terms or how long this will last or something along those lines. So just, it's not a great week for making big, important financial decisions because you might not understand the full repercussions of those decisions that you're making. However, you can really visualize what you want for yourself when it comes to your financial situation, when it comes to making big investments or big purchases, when it comes to your resources in partnership with other people. This is a great time for visualizing what you want, for fantasizing about it, and then later taking those dreams and turning them into reality. This could also be you fantasizing about having more financial freedom so you can just go off and have fun and do things that bring you joy. And you absolutely can do that. This is a good time to indulge in things that bring you joy, to just go off and have fun, do things that feel good to you. And, you can absolutely do that, and that would be better than, making bad financial decisions. So take that to mean what you will. All right, and then for Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising, this energy with Saturn and square to Uranus is happening in your 3rd house of communication and in your 6th house of work and daily routines. There could be a major change you want to make when it comes to your work, or there could be some sort of frustration or difficulty or rebellious energy in the workplace where there are changes that need to be made or that you want to make, and you're getting this message that you can't do it, or it's going to take some time, right? You have to kind of slow your roll and plan things out accordingly. And, it's not going to happen all at once. This could also be you wanting to go back and get some additional certification, especially if it's a practical skill set related to your work. And, you wanted to get it done really quickly, and you find out that, it's going to take more time than you thought, and that these changes are going to come on a little bit more slowly. And you get that sort of message this week. And, you have to kind of learn to accept that and to make the changes very gradually and to work toward what you want. So maybe you thought you're going to take a certification course that was going to take a couple of months, and you find out that this is probably going to take you a couple of years to really to create what you want to create there. And so that's part of this energy. There could also be like weird communication or communication that feels very limiting, restrictive, or burdensome related to your work this week. And so you just kind of want to keep that in mind, that it's something that you can absolutely work through. The changes that need to happen will happen. It's just that they're not going to happen all at once. You're going to have to work for it, and it's going to take time. The other thing that's going on is that Venus is in your 7th house of partnership. It's in square with Neptune in your 4th house, which is the house of home, family, and property. There could be some sort of confusing communication involving somebody in your home or in your family, where you might misconstrue things and take things, out of context, or you might share information that might be misleading and might cause some sort of difficulty that'll come back around, especially in May, around May 20th, and it won't be resolved until July. So you want to be very careful that when you're speaking the truth, that you're not gossiping about your family members or something like that, and that when people give you information, that you take it with a grain of salt, because you don't know if it's true yet, even if it sounds true, and especially if it's too good to be true or it sounds too good to be true. This could also be some sort of confusion around some sort of financial issue involving partnership, especially if it involves your home. This could be like a financial issue involving your home very literally, or involving your lease or your mortgage, where you're just unclear about the terms or the agreement, and so you lock yourself into something that might not necessarily be beneficial. So you just want to make sure that you're very clear on anything that you are engaging within those areas. This is a really great time, though, to fantasize about your idealistic future when it comes to your partnerships. So if you're not in partnership, fantasize about the perfect man or the perfect woman or whatever it is, because, that's something that you might be able to manifest and draw in over the next couple of weeks. You might be fantasizing about an old flame, and that person might come back into your life, during that that Venus retrograde. They might not stick around, but you'll resolve something, hopefully. And this is a great time to fantasize about what do you want when it comes to your home, your property, your family, your living situation, very literally, because you might be able to start to create that reality. Creative projects in partnership and in the home, those are really great things to focus on this week as well. All right, and then for Capricorn and for Capricorn rising, this square between Saturn and Uranus is happening in your second house of finances and in your fifth house of like joy, fun, play, hobbies, interests, things that you love to do. And so there could be some financial restrictions that are preventing you from engaging in a new hobby or engaging in something that you're really excited about. And so that could come up for you this week. It's going to happen, but you're going to have to work at it, and it's going to take more time or more effort than you thought it was. This could even be something that you've been wanting to change or engage with that could benefit your children in some way, but there are financial limitations to it, and it's not going to happen right now, even though you want to make that change so you can give them a better life or a better situation. And just know that it will happen. It's going to take more time. The other thing that's going on is Venus is in square with Neptune. Venus is in your sixth house, which is the house of work and daily routines. Neptune's in your third house of communication. This could very literally be miscommunication at work or miscommunication with coworkers, gossiping at work, lies being spread, or you spreading lies unintentionally. So just be very clear in your communication in your workplace, and take everything with a grain of salt if it's something that seems kind of outlandish or maybe too good to be true, like an offer involving your work or your job, because it might be too good to be true and you might not see things very clearly right now. This is a really great time to fantasize about what you do want, though, when it comes to your work, your daily habits, your daily routines, and that type of thing. So if you want a different job, envision what that looks like, right? Envision what you want your day-to-day life in your new job, and really put yourself in that position, because this is a time where you might be able to start manifesting that. And this is a great time for creative communication and creative projects involving your work. All right, for Aquarius and Aquarius rising, the Saturn square to Uranus and Mercury is happening in your sign, and also in your fourth house of home, family, and property. There could be this need to want to break free. Maybe you're just frustrated with staying at home and you want to go out and do something, but there are very literal rules, limitations, and restrictions preventing you from doing that. Maybe your home is just feeling like too stagnant, too stale, and you want to move. And so you're ready to do it, but there's something that's preventing you from doing that. There is some sort of restriction being imposed on you that is causing you to have to take your time and to wait, right? And to do things the right way and not the fast way, to make these changes gradually, to start doing your research now, and then maybe making that move or making that change a little bit later on. This could be some sort of change or chaos or challenge in your home environment that puts an extra burden on you. If that's the case, you'll be able to work through it. But again, it takes time. These things aren't going to happen all at once, and they're certainly not going to happen all at once this week, but you're going to become aware of these things. The other thing that's going on is Venus is in your fifth house of joy, fun, play, children, and it's in a square with Neptune in the sign of Pisces. This could be you wanting to do something romantic and going out and, having fun with your partner, or buying them a really expensive gift, or doing something indulgent on a romantic level, and that kind of drains your resources without you realizing it. This could be you wanting to buy gifts for your children or something like that, and again, it puts an extra drain on your resources that you didn't realize, or you didn't realize what your financial situation was. So just be clear before you make any purchases, especially gifts for your children or someone you love. But this could also be an energy of wanting to, indulge in something that's really fun and creative, that you're really passionate about, and you kind of misread your financial situation and indulge a little too much, and it puts you in a bad situation in the future. Maybe not right now, but in May it'll come back around and you'll be like, wow, I really wish I didn't spend $300 on this like art set or something and now I don't have money for my bills. So kind of just be aware of that. This is a really great time, though, to engage in things that are creative, but be frugal about it and be cautious. And again, if somebody's offering you something on a financial level that seems too good to be true, it probably is. So just be aware of that. But it is actually a good time to fantasize and to visualize what you want for yourself when it comes to money, finances, and also the things that you just love, that bring you joy in life, and doing more of those things. All right. And then finally for Pisces and for Pisces rising, this Saturn energy is in your 12th house, which is the house of solitude, seclusion. Saturn in the 12th house is very literally almost always associated with a period where you're forced into seclusion, or you're kind of taking time away from the world, where you feel isolated. And so that could be hitting you especially hard right now, given what's going on globally. And there's a need to kind of break free from that and communicate new and exciting ideas, to share alternative viewpoints with people. You probably are having a lot of very strange and unusual thoughts and ideas right now, and you're probably connecting the dots with like a lot of very unusual information. You're getting flashes of insight, these like brilliant strokes of insight, and you're wanting to communicate that with people. But maybe that isolation is preventing you from doing so. So doing it in small, like little bits and pieces, and, you know, just putting it out there in bursts instead of just like, you know, going to your friend who you've never talked to about any of these things and just like, you know, sharing all of this crazy stuff that you're thinking about and learning about, and maybe they're not open to it yet. You could overwhelm people, and that could cause you to feel even more isolated and even more misunderstood. And, you know, you don't necessarily need that right now. So it's not that you shouldn't share new and exciting information. You shouldn't share weird ideas or strange or eccentric things with other people. I think that that's important, right? You're feeling inspired, you're connecting these dots, you're thinking about things in new ways, but it's like about doing it in small measured doses, so you don't like kind of scare away the people that you have in your life right now, or overwhelm them with too much. They're just like, you know, disregarding what you're saying. The other thing that's going on, and also, you know, this would be a time where maybe you're thinking about additional education or making a change involving education or involving your community, vehicles, your daily commute. And if that is the case, you know, it's not going to happen all at once, and you're going to have to kind of take some steps to get there. So it's, you know, making these changes the right way and not the fast way. This Neptune energy with Venus is happening in your 4th house of the home, family, and property, and it's very literally impacting you personally. It could be that you just want to beautify your home. You want your home to be more balanced and serene and beautiful. You're thinking about, wow, I've been stuck here for a while, and that wall is really ugly. I need to do something. And that's completely okay. Doing creative projects in the home to make it more beautiful and tranquil and wonderful, that's a really great way to utilize this energy. A bad way to utilize this energy would be gossiping about your family, or gossiping about your roommate, or, you know, just sharing like lies and things like that. This could also be that you are being lied to about your living situation. Maybe your landlord or something like that is sharing information that's incorrect. You know, maybe they're trying to deceive you or swindle you in some way. Maybe, you know, your friends and relatives share information with you and they have good intentions, but it's false information. Or maybe, you know, somebody very close to you is, you know, intentionally deceiving you. Or maybe you deceive someone. And if that's the case, you know, just try your best not to do that, because, you know, that's going to come back around and hurt you in some way a little bit later on. But this is a great time, again, for creative projects in the home. So make your home beautiful. Do something to spice things up a little bit in that way, and to make your home like a sanctuary, a serene place where you enjoy being there a lot more. All right, and so that is my forecast for all 12 signs. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and share with your friends if you feel like they could benefit from this information, and I will see you guys next week. Bye, everyone.